Hello there, all you Bucketheads, and welcome, all you Foundlings, to another episode of the only podcast on the internet that prays every week that the Wi-Fi will hold out for an hour. This is Under the Helmet Podcast. If you like what you see here today, don't forget, hit that like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the Under the Helmet Podcast, follow us on Instagram. Maybe we'll post on it someday soon. Also, join that Discord, so you can never miss out on updates of the show. Speaking of comments, I want you guys to go ahead and comment below, because in this episode, we are going to be talking about if we could make a Star Wars movie, what would we do, where would it be, so on and so forth. So leave your ideas for a Star Wars movie in the comments below. I think we've got some really good ideas. I can't wait to hear yours. Eli, you said you had a Hothbreaker for us tonight?
I do. In fact, have a Hothbreaker for us. So, in the spirit of new fan thought up projects, I had the idea of if you could give one character their own, we'll say like Kenobi style limited series, who would you pick and why?
Okay, so I have two characters I would want.
Okay.
One I would want more than the other. So
I'll do one, and then you do your next.
Okay, so the first one I want, and this is the one that I want more than anything, is Reva.
Yes.
I want a limited series about Reva. I thought she was great. I thought Moses Ingram was amazing. And I want to see where she takes the character next. Because all too often, we don't see Inquisitors get redeemed. We see them, or in the case of Trilla, we see them get redeemed and then die. Shout out!
She's redeemed for like 5 seconds.
Shout out to Jedi Survivor dropping tomorrow. I'm so excited. I've already seen a ton of gameplay. People are streaming it on TikTok Live and they're on ham, and I'm jealous. So for those who you got to play early copies, lucky you. Eli, are you going to be streaming the game?
I will be streaming the game, but that will be happening after my trip across the galaxy is completed. As you can see, I actually decided to stay an extra week over here on Navarro. It's wonderful here. You really have to see the lava flats. They're just beautiful scenery. But next week we'll be concluding my galactic excursion with our week-long stay at Blackspire Outpost on Batu. And then I'll be home, where I'll be able to stream to the HoloNet and to your data pads near you.
All right. Sounds good. I'm very excited. I'm excited to see how this game goes. Be wary. There are spoilers out there. People are posting spoilers. For me, I don't necessarily care if I get the game spoiled because I'm not going to be playing it. But it's one of those things that, if you have the game and you got to play it early, please be respectful of others and give people a chance to play the game before you start talking and posting spoilers. I'm down for it. My point of view is this: if you put a spoiler warning and give people, 2 to 5 seconds to scroll away, you're good to go. I think that's more than fair. Also, don't be the guy, and we're under 10 minutes, so I won't say the word I want to say, but don't be the a-hole that posts the Darth Vader reveal on the day of launch. Don't be that guy. Do better. Anyways, moving on. Eli, who do you want to have a limited series?
So this one was kind of a tough pick for me, because there's tons of really good characters in the galaxy, tons of people that I would love to see get this opportunity for a limited series. But ultimately, the one that I picked was Qui-Gon Jinn.
I like it. I like Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, yes. As a Brotherhood enjoy. Wait, no, Brotherhood is Anakin and Obi-Wan, isn't it?
Your Brotherhood is Anakin and Obi-Wan. You're talking Master and Apprentice.
Yes. Okay. See, I saw actually a guy at my new job reading Brotherhood. I don't know if he follows the show, but I was like, my co-host for my podcast talks about this book a lot.
Good for him. I love that book.
Yeah.
We should do a episode Star Wars book club one day and talk about some of our favorite books. That'd be fun.
I have an idea for something, and I'll talk to you more about it, about the show. But
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan.
Could be something good.
But anyways, My third character, who I would love to see a limited series about, but I would less want to see, is Kira.
Yeah.
However, I will say she has done incredible justice in the Crimson Reign comics.
I've heard really good things.
So Crimson Reign, what other War of the Bounty Hunters? She's portrayed really well in those comics, and I wouldn't want to see anything that messes that story up. However, we did at the end of Solo get to see her go to Dathomir to train with Maul. So I would love to see how he leaves Crimson Dawn to her. So a story of Maul and Kira building up Crimson Dawn through the shadows, and then him kind of leaving to go to Malachor. Maybe he's still involved with Crimson Dawn during the events of Rebels. Who knows?
Yeah, we really
don't know.
It seems like he kind of goes a little Kenobi crazy and then goes and hides in his cave.
Forgive me, everybody. I'm just getting over like a little sickness bug. So see me blow my nose? No, you didn't. Anyways, moving on. Let's get into tonight's episode topic.
Yes.
Star Wars movies we would like to see. So, for the movie I envisioned, I did not come up with a cast. I did not come up with a director because, number one, I'm kind of against the idea of a fan cast other than like obvious characters. So, like, I'm kind of against the idea of a fan cast because I'm not really the biggest fan of, like...
fan casting in general.
Especially, like, my big example of this is John Krasinski playing Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness. For those who have watched our video on that, you'll know that I wasn't the biggest fan of his casting. I felt like he kind of played the character like a block of wood and didn't really have a lot of emotion there. And, you know, no hate to John Krasinski, but the problem with a lot of fan casts is that you pick somebody that, like, aesthetically looks the character, but isn't necessarily a good fit for the character. Everybody photoshopping different actors blue to play Thrawn. Yeah, gross. Disgusting. Grody. Ugh. Anyways, so I didn't think of that. I didn't think of a director, although I would love to say maybe this wouldn't fit the aesthetic of Star Wars, but I would love a Tarantino Star Wars movie.
Ooh.
Or a Star Wars movie directed by James Gunn. And I feel like James Gunn would be a pretty good director for this movie.
Okay.
Because this movie is not called from a certain point of view. So the working title in my head is called Tales from the Cantina.
Okay.
So we start off on the planet, on a small cantina on the planet of Iego. And
now, can you remind some of us who, you know, definitely know what Iego is, but for those of you who forget, what's Iego?
So Iego is it was first mentioned in the Phantom Menace, and
it's the
Are you an angel?
Yes.
You live on the moons of Iego, I think. So there's that, but we see Iego in the Clone Wars. And basically, there's this old timer. He's running a cantina, and there's a bunch of like weary space travelers inside. It's kind of giving a Canterbury Tales type vibe, where like there's this big asteroid storm or like meteor shower or something, and nobody's allowed to leave because it's too dangerous. And you know, they talk about, you know, all the pilots are in there. There's pilots, there's some older people, there's some younger people, and they're like, oh, this storm, it would take the greatest pilot in the galaxy to get out of this storm. And then the old timer from behind the saloon goes, I once knew the greatest pilot in the galaxy. And then we flash back. And for all you people knowing where this is going, we get live action Clone Wars flashback of that time Anakin and Obi-Wan went to Iego to find Rixer root to cure the Blue Shadow virus, because the old man is the little boy from that episode And you could see in the background of the cantina, you have like little battle droids walking around, repurposed battle droids. You have one at the door with the "Welcome to Aego, Roger, Roger."
Oh, I love
But
it.
so on and so forth. So then, in that, you could honestly get Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor back as live action Anakin and Obi-Wan, which people have been pining for. So that would be really cool. You could, and since this story kind of takes that from a certain point of view perspective, and its stories told, there can be some embellishments, because even though we know what happens in this story, it would be really hard for them to, like, because when you tell a story over time, the details get warped.
Well, yeah.
So, like, you could say, like, because in the episode, I think Anakin takes out like 27 battle droids. And you could say, he could be like, my droids went out to greet him, and this Jedi led through 100 battle droids like it was nothing.
Oh, hundreds of battle droids.
His blue lightsaber was a blur, things like that. So, and then, the old timer finishes telling his story. And he'll be like, it was the greatest day of my life. And then it cuts to another character, and he's like, Anakin Skywalker, you thought that was something. And you cut to this like this scruffy looking former scarred up face rebel, and he goes, I used to serve with Luke Skywalker, and let me tell you, that man was something else. And if you've ever read the book, there's a book out there, I think it's called The Legend of Luke Skywalker, and it shows like him having these crazy insane power feats, which are like totally blown out of proportion. So we get a story about Luke Skywalker and him fighting in the rebellion. Maybe you could have him with his yellow lightsaber from the comics, or you can have him right after he built his green lightsaber, and then you could have him talking about, well, Jedi are great, but if you fought in the rebellion, surely you knew the great Hera Syndulla. I knew Hera. And then, like, you could get, honestly, it's fan service, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, it connects to all these different characters. You could get Anakin and Obi-Wan. You could have Ahsoka. You could have Hera. You could have, Kanan and Ezra. You could even have, like, at some point, somebody mentioned, like, I once was hunted by the great Boba Fett, and things like that. So that's kind of the idea for the stories, and you have all these 10 people, and they all have these different points of view, and it really merges the animated and the live action stuff and the comics, and maybe you could have a mention of Kira in Crimson Dawn, and maybe somebody is a former member of Crimson Dawn, because slight spoilers, but at the end of the most recent Crimson Dawn comics, Crimson Dawn is disbanded, and Kira, okay, major spoiler, cover your ears, go la 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 la, doesn't die. So she could be in the bar even as an older lady, give Amelia Clark with that, and she could give this story of the time you think Anakin and Luke were great pilots. You should have seen Han Solo in his prime. And she could tell the story of the Kessel Run and, from Solo. Because we've seen these events before, but told through a different perspective, a perspective of somebody witnessing it. And I feel like that would be really interesting.
I love how literally you took from a different point of view, because each of these stories are stories that we've seen, and some of us have watched like hundreds of times before.
Absolutely. I feel like it could be really creative, but also it could be quite divisive.
Yeah, no,
because of the fact that you're getting events told, but it has to be clear that it has to be made very clear that these stories have embellishments in them. So it's not going to be a shot-for-shot recreation of the Clone Wars episode, because if you want a shot-for-shot recreation of the Clone Wars episode, you just watch the Clone Wars episode.
The Clone Wars. Yeah.
There's no need. So the point of that is that it's these old people sitting in a bar telling their I met a celebrity once stories, And there could even be one for some reason Kix and the Crimson Corsair could be there. And you could have a moment where they talk about Anakin and someone goes, "You think you knew General Skywalker? Let me tell you." And then Kix takes his helmet off and it's Tamara Morrison de-aged.
Ooh.
Again, there's such a cool dynamic that could be brought in here. And then you get your Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan flashbacks from Clone Wars. And they've got their Clone Wars armor on. So people on TikTok can finally shut up about getting Clone Wars flashbacks. We could get them in this movie, and it would be cool. And it would make sense because the whole point of these flashbacks is to make sense. And maybe, who knows, maybe an old Din Djarin is there.
You never know. You know.
There's no limit to who could be in this bar and how the story is being told. So that's sort of my pitch for my movie, and I think it would be really cool and it'd be really entertaining. It'd be really interesting. It'd be a fun theater movie because you're jumping between all these different points, kind of like. So obviously the Canterbury Tales, and I believe there's a Western movie out there. I think it's called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs or something like that.
I thought I'd heard about that.
And so the person's narrating, of course, so it's told from not from the point of view of the characters we know. It's told from these lesser minor characters who are watching Luke Skywalker cut down stormtroopers, and then Luke was like a blur, and I got knocked unconscious and my eyes opened, and then I stared in his beautiful blue eyes, and those Chanel boots were clicking.
And then we kissed.
Now
Keith.
Now Kit. But yeah, so that's kind of the idea for my movie. There is some precedent like this in canon, like you said, the Legend of Luke Skywalker. There's also the From a Certain Point of View books. However, those books kind of focus on main characters. I want a movie dedicated to the side characters. Maybe we could get some mention of Saw Gerrera and the Partisans, maybe Jyn Erso.
Okay.
Maybe a mention of the Bad Batch. There's no limit as to who could show up in this and why. Because it's people telling stories. And the best part, at the end of the day, they've got a kernel of truth in them. Yeah. But you don't know if the person was actually there or not, or if they're just talking out of their behind. And it would be really fun. And then at the end of it, and this is where I think the best part of the movie is. The end of it is, someone sitting there listening, and there's a hooded figure in the back of the bar, and you see them move so often, but you can't really tell who it is.
Okay.
And actually, no, I don't like that. There's two hooded figures, and they're in the back of the bar, and they're kind of walking around, and they're kind of listening to the stories and this and that. And of course, you go from the prequel era. Maybe you get a couple High Republic stories kind of brought in there. Well, I heard a story once about a Jedi from the High Republic that could.
No one from the High Republic is still alive. You're blowing smoke at. You're blowing smoke at your exhaust port.
Exactly, but at the very end of it, you get all these stories, and at the end of it, you see these two characters get it up, and they go to leave, and there's these hooded characters, and they go. The bartender goes, "Where are you going? You'll never make it out past the asteroid field. You need a damn good pilot." And the one of the characters removes their hood, and it's Finn. And he turns around and he goes, "We've got one." And then Rey removes her hood. Roll credits.
Oh, that'd make me so happy. I love this.
Is this
I love
movie
everything about this.
99% fan service? Yes. Yes, it is. But would it be an enjoyable time for Star Wars fans of every generation? Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Because you get stories from all across the galaxy. I mean, it'd be kind of the thing that brings every era together. And I love that. It is, it binds the galaxy together. like the bumper sticker
Absolutely.
says.
And what could be good is that it's going to take place before Rey's Jedi Order movie.
Okay. I was
Because
thinking that.
it's basically her going around and learning about the Jedi and trying to understand what the Jedi mean to the people of the galaxy. And that is the point. Is, we see these events in Star Wars happen. We see these characters and the things that they do and the amazing things that they go through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many galaxy-changing events is Obi-Wan Kenobi alone at the part of?
Yeah.
He is not only during the Naboo crisis, which would be fun to have somebody talk about, the Naboo crisis. He was at the Naboo crisis. He was at the first Battle of Geonosis. He was at,
the second Battle of Geonosis.
The death of General Grievous.
He was pretty close to that one.
Yeah, he was him. He was the guy.
He was the death of General Grievous.
So uncivilized. And I mean, there's so much you could get from that. Maybe even some stories about like Count Dooku and General Grievous. And what would be really interesting is to get like some separatist sympathizer type characters, like we saw in The Mandalorian, because we know they're out there. And
they're in their little Reddit chats.
It would be really cool to see somebody who's like because one of the factions mentioned in Andor are the Neo-Separatists, I believe.
Really?
I believe so. I would have to go back and double check on that, but there's a group Saw Gerrera mentions that are separatist adjacent. I remember talking about them when Andor came out. So, because that faction is still out there, I would love to hear a positive story about the Separatist Alliance.
Yeah.
Because all too often we see them just being maniacal, mustache-twirling evil villains.
Right. Well, that's how Clone Wars painted them.
Yes. But you also have those arcs with Mina Monteri and the nuance of the Separatist Alliance. So I would love to see somebody with a positive story about General Grievous.
Okay.
Or like a good story about Dooku, about the time they met Count Dooku. At like, I was a young kid at a junior separatist leaders conference, and we got to meet Dooku Sereno. And he was tall and imposing, but he was very kind. And, because we have people that meet politicians that some would think are generally terrible people and most likely would agree. But meeting that politician, they're a politician for a reason. They obviously have some sort of charisma and they have the ability to be fake in front of people. So it would be nice to see that and hear a good story about Dooku after he fell to the dark side, and maybe a positive story about General Grievous where he pulled out his lightsaber collection.
I think we're stretching for that one, but I like where your head's at.
That's the beauty of this movie, is that you can tell so many stories, and it's a big galaxy, and there's a lot that can be told. Where in Star Wars, so often we focus on the big picture events.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see some smaller scale side characters doing their thing. NPC tavern.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you will.
I feel like that is what the fans would end up nicknaming this movie, and I love that.
I dig it.
I love it.
All right.
One thing I wanted to say just about yours before we wrap up. You mentioned wanting to see Tarantino direct a Star Wars movie, and honestly, when you first started describing how this one plays out, all I could think of is the way that Pulp Fiction plays.
That
like
is
where
true.
It's got very much like the chaptered. My hands are invisible. Ooh.
I get what you're saying with that, but
I don't think Tarantino would direct it, but it reminded me very much of the style that Pulp Fiction is done in, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Or what would be really interesting is having multiple directors,
Ooh, like Mando style.
like Mando style.
Okay.
So
Honest.
this series works as a movie
Mm-hmm.
because that style of movie's been done, but it also would work really well as a TV show.
That's what I was thinking too. Like each of these
So
could be a really good episode.
so like I said, it's really based off, and the reason what got me started on this idea
Mm-hmm.
was I was thinking about English high school English class
Mm-hmm.
and different books that we read
Mm-hmm.
and basically taking one of those books and translating it into Star Wars.
Ooh.
And the first one that popped that because that's kind of how I attacked this problem. And the book that popped out to me immediately was the Canterbury Tales.
Okay.
I remember reading it. I remember thoroughly enjoying it, and I was like, you know what? I would love to see the Canterbury Tales, but in Star Wars, because it's people from all different classes. You could have a smuggler, the smuggler's tale, the rebel's tale, the clone's tale, the Jedi's tale, and so on and so forth. Like that would be really interesting.
I think the Clone's Tale, if that's from Kix, you can make people cry, and they will love that episode. Like that one could go down easily as one of the best ones all time. People will love the Iago episode, but
Absolutely, and
holy
that's
crap,
why.
telling Kix's story.
And that's why I wanted to have it on Iago personally, because I was trying to think of a good place, and I was thinking, I don't want it to be on Tatooine, please, because the original plan in my head was Tales from a Tatooine Cantina, and I was like, that's kind of whack. That wouldn't. It'd be
There's
cool,
bars everywhere.
but listen, man, we're tired of Tatooine, and Garsa Flip is dead, so there's no reason to go back there to a Tatooine Cantina.
But Fennec Shand
So
is there. Fennec
that
Shand is
is
there.
why that is why we're going to Iago.
Okay.
Because it's one of those deep cut references that like Clone Wars fans will enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you can see B1 battle. You know what? The battle droid's tale.
That could be your good General Grievous story. He talks about his prowess in battle.
You know what would be great though? Is
Huh.
that if it's just General Grievous being a heinous asshole, but because the way the droids are programmed, they're like, and then General Grievous bashed my brother's head in, but he deserved it. You know, that would be very entertaining. So the battle droid's tale.
I think they're going to have that droid's memory wiped after that.
No,
No?
rather,
All right.
rather. All right, that's my story. So, like I said, I think what did I say was the title? I think I said it.
Tales from
Tales
the
from the
Cantina.
Cantina.
Okay.
Yeah, Tales from the Cantina was the name, was the working title. Because that way it has that original Canterbury Tales reference or Cantina Tales or something like that.
I gotcha.
Star Wars Cantina Tales. Fan service the movie. Give us your money.
Well, I think so for
picked
mine. Yeah. I honestly though, I love your idea. I love all of it. It's good and I need it right now.
Make it happen, Disney. Reach out to me via Instagram, Discord, whatever. Reach out to me, Disney. I'll make it happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mine. So admittedly, I got this idea because I was like, I want to write a Star Wars campaign, and I love writing like tabletop campaigns. Just I enjoy it. So the idea that I had, because we just had Mando season 3 wrap up, and I feel like it put us in a really good place. It both, it closed a lot of doors on a lot of older stories, especially the story of the Darksaber, of Mandalore and its people. I feel like it put them in a really good spot. And it put Mando in a very interesting place because we have him now sort of back where we did have him back at the start of the series, because he's back to bounty hunting for a business, for his livelihood.
Somehow the Darksaber returned.
Not that. That is not my story. But, I had this idea because I know that Skeleton Crew is likely going to pick up this thread. But, so this story, I have no clue whatsoever as to the title of this story. Every time I thought of one, I decided 5 seconds later that it was stupid and I hated it. But
the writing process.
Right? Exactly. The writing process. Hate everything you create.
Yes.
Anyway.
It's all trash.
Oh, yeah. Every inch of it is garbage. Anyway.
The garbage man stand.
The garbage man stand. One time I was taking out the trash and Luke Skywalker was there.
I was on the first Death Star.
Wait, no, a custodian on the Death Star.
I think that's a Lego skit.
I believe it.
From the Lego skits, there was a Gungan that worked as like a cleaner. You don't remember those like classic Lego skits?
I'm trying.
He was like a Gungan janitor, and he would go around like cleaning different like things. There's a video of him cleaning the Death Star, and like he gets chased by he doesn't put out a wet floor sign. And like Darth Vader slips and falls. So Darth Vader hires Boba Fett to kill him, and Boba Fett can't kill him. That's the whole thing. Don't believe me. It's real. It's a real thing that exists.
I need to watch these. I'm surprised, given that I was a Lego kid, that I haven't seen these.
I will look this skit up.
But, so this movie starts out on arguably one of my favorite planets, and it's one that, to my knowledge, in canon, we haven't gotten to see, or at least not in the way that I like, and that is Nar Shaddaa. Now, it's been referenced in canon. It's referenced actually at the very beginning of Fallen Order in a throwaway line from, Cal's best friend. I shouldn't forget his name. Prof, yeah. Prof's like, Cal's like, oh, I'm pulling a favor from, Glove Shido number 72. And Prof is like, I thought he was on Nar Shaddaa. He's like, yeah, that's why I'm pulling a favor. Nar Shaddaa, as we know it, is kind of this Hutt Coruscant, if you will. Because Nar Shaddaa is within Hutt space. It's, directly adjacent to Nal Hutta, which is just kind of a swampy, slimy planet. And Nar Shaddaa is not quite that. It's kind of, if you let the scum and villainy take over Coruscant entirely, no more shiny, glittering top layer, it's all just the underworld. And it's weirdly always got like an orange tint to it, but it's a good looking orange tint. Anyway, we would start out following a character that we all briefly got to know in season 3, that being the pirate known as Vane. This is Vane following Mando season 3. He's looking for work and he's heard about this job. So he goes into a cantina. He would say some sort of password to the guy at the bar, who then tells him to sit at a booth. Sits there, has a drink. He's looking around the place, and maybe this would be a good opportunity to throw in like the odd like side character, like maybe like Black Chrysanthemum's there. You never know, but because it's Nar Shaddaa.
Black Chrysanthemum would be cool, especially because didn't the Hutt send him to kill Boba?
Mm-hmm. Well, this would be happening after Mando season 3, so
which is after the Book of Boba.
Yes.
Black Chrysanthemum would be cool though. We could also see Bosk, Dengar, or Rothgar Dang.
Rothgar Dang.
Zuckuss and Gorman are still running around.
Oh yeah, shoot. Is IG-88 still alive?
No, Vader capped him.
That's rough for IG-88.
He had it
Rest in
coming. He picked the
pieces.
fight with Darth Vader. He had it coming.
He did. Rest in pieces, IG-88, because that's the only way you're staying.
R.I.P.
You know,
pieces.
Vane gets taken back to this, Oh, okay. Yes. Vane gets taken back to this back room, and we have, two big burly bodyguards sitting on either side of, we have like booth right here, bodyguards, and then there's a table in the middle, and Vane's here. There's light shining down from behind the table, so you can't see the person sitting there at all. You can see the bodyguards. The person sitting down is entirely cloaked in shadow. All you can see is a silhouette. And they've got just like a, fancy like martini glass. And they're just sitting there swirling it, sipping. Vane sits down and there's this good bit of silence. Vane starts rattling off, like, oh yeah, I'm looking for work. And, he's talking himself up a lot because this is Vane. He's a henchman.
Yeah, he's Vane.
So, yeah, he's Vane. I don't need to explain Vane to you guys. You guys know Vane.
Yeah.
So there's a long period of silence. Takes a long, drawn-out sip from his drink. He says, so, is that all you have to offer to Black Sun? Because the person sitting in that booth is none other than Prince Zizor himself.
Yo, that would be cool.
And Black Sun serves as the main antagonist of this movie. Because, given the power vacuum that is left by the Empire, we know that Zizor was power hungry. He wanted to make Black Sun, just the biggest and best crime syndicate around, potentially even rivaling the Empire. If he could take over the galaxy, he'd take over the galaxy.
Especially with the Hutts gone too. I feel like this is the perfect time.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see that. You'll see throughout the movie him talking, because he brings Vane in as honestly just kind of another lower level goon, maybe like middle management. Honestly, like he has a squad of guys and he has to go do this thing.
Go do crime.
Yeah, go do crime. Go do crime. You do crime good. But we see that, everybody's like, because I need to explain why we haven't seen Black Sun. And Black Sun was doing really well when the Empire was around, honestly. Now, they couldn't be doing really well out in the open because that's where Black Sun thrives. Black Sun thrived in the shadows. Everything they did, you really didn't know about. Because typically there was somebody answering to them. Whereas Crimson Dawn, you knew if it was Crimson Dawn because they were very like up in your face. This is if it was the Hutts, they were like, oh, you serve the great, Jabba or whatever.
Well, the Hutts and Crimson Dawn, like the Hutts were the most overt crime syndicate at that time, and during the Age of the Empire. And then you had like Crimson Dawn kind of like peering in the shadows. And then I think Black Sun could really fit in because, they were originally a part of Crimson Dawn.
They were.
Or Darth Maul's crime syndicate during the Clone Wars. They kind of got assimilated by force. And that would be really interesting to see them like taking the power vacuum, like after the unfortunate loss of Lady Kira from Crimson Dawn, the Black Sun has decided to go our own way,
Yeah, and I'd even have Vane be like, I thought Black Sun was with Crimson Dawn. And he's like, we've sought a higher place on the current power struggle. We've decided
I'm not affiliated with Crimson Dawn. He could say something like that.
Oh yeah,
like all posh and businessy.
And Zizor, himself is like, he is this very. He's a prince. So we're definitely going to see a bit of that in just the way that he acts, the way that he talks to people. I'm so excited to see his wardrobe for this. That is something I'd love. He would be drippy as hell, let me tell you. But the reason that any of this, you might be like, okay, what does any of this have to do with Mando other than that you brought in Vane? Well, if you remember, Din Djarin is now a New Republic contractor. And that means that he gets to go and do all of the stuff that the New Republic either doesn't have the resources to do or doesn't give a rat's ass about, which is a lot of the organized crime stuff, because they're too busy fighting Imperial Remnant or establishing themselves as the new government force in the galaxy. They don't have the time to deal with crime syndicates, which is exactly what Black Sun is banking on. They're banking on the New Republic not noticing them until it's too late. Unfortunately, there's somebody out there who has a tendency to notice these things, and his name is Carson Teva. So when Carson Teva gets scout reports that, hey, we have like pirate activity, because I imagine that with the unfortunate loss of Gorian Shard, Zizor is like, you were a pirate, were you not? He's like, yeah. He's like, tell me, do you think you could rustle up some trouble? Because he wants to draw people away from where they are, actively building up their enforcements, their, military, so to speak. And so he has him going about doing some stuff on the complete other side of the galaxy. I mean, we're talking like maybe not Navarro and definitely not Tatooine because I'm done seeing it. But some outer rim world on the complete opposite side of Hutt space. Because with the Hutts now largely in shambles, Hutt space is gradually being taken over by Black Sun, as Izor keeps offering all of these now sort of shaken Hutt families the opportunity of becoming something greater should they assimilate into Black Sun. Sort of doing almost what Maul did, but not by force, giving them sort of this offer that they can't refuse. And the ones who have refused him have seen their leadership taken out and their troops then, given new job offers. And he's got the resources to honestly pay them better than the Hutts ever were. But we have this, and it's kind of this melding of, it's definitely got like Godfather themes to the Zizor parts, but we also have Mando now taking up this kind of like Old West lawman of the Outer Rim and going about and doing these different, jobs for the New Republic. Because we have Vane's introduction and then Mando's introduction, which I would love to have on some, it doesn't necessarily need to be like a desert world, but we have him just ready to go full shootout with like this encroached gang of raiders on a planet. I'm thinking almost like kind of like the Klatooinian camp, but it's like
I will say, since Disney has a Tatooine fetish, maybe you could see him filling in for Cobb Vanth on Tatooine while he recovers.
I could see that.
I would say because this sounds like a great place to get a Cobb Vanth cameo, and I did have one thing I kind of wanted to add because I feel like something that would connect those dots really well is having Prince. Is it Zizor or Shizor?
I think it's Zizor. I'm not going to lie, I've never heard it pronounced by anyone other than myself. I was left to make what I will with those consonants.
I'm going to say, but yeah. So I would love to see like him attempt to like you said Carson Taylor down there digging around. I would love to see him like try to bribe Teva as he's like digging too deep, and then Teva's like no, and he's like okay. So then he attempts to like assassinate Carson Teva, but he like survives like barely. But like the message is clear. So, and that's when he gets Mando involved.
Do you think?
I feel like that'd be a good connective thread.
Do you think he'd be so bold as to attack a Delphi base outright?
maybe not in the first act. Maybe he hasn't. I feel like he wouldn't want to do that because that would draw too much attention.
Right.
Because that would invoke the ire of the New Republic, and I don't think the New Republic is corrupt enough to be able to look the other way just yet. Well, maybe it's the New Republic. Who knows?
True. And you have to remember, we still have Elia Kane within the New Republic.
That is true, but she might be reporting with Thrawn, and maybe Shizor is working with Thrawn.
Honestly, they're two of the more like intelligent and calculated characters from Legends, so I can see it.
Yeah,
I could definitely see it. I think
sort of a real recognizes real type. Type B.
Game sees game. I think
real recognizes real. Know what I mean?
I think if he did attack a Delphi base, it's not going to be outright. He's going to have sent in like assassins to like sabotage, because they have to have hyperspace fuel. They have to have fuel. It's Star Wars Top Gun. There's fuel.
Bribe the mechanics. Bribe the mechanics and have them do like Black Sun car bombs.
Yeah, pretty much. X-wing car bombs.
Oh, hello, Mr. Rebel Pilot. So sorry you don't want to join the beautiful Black Sun Syndicate. Your X-wing is ready to leave. Click.
We understand your, we understand you may need some time to reconsider your offer.
I would say, you know who I would love to have as a cameo in this movie?
Who's that?
For no other reason. This is pure me wanting this person to be in the movie.
Okay.
Mama the Hutt. Oh wait, no, you're talking Nar Shaddaa, not Now Hutta. My bad.
I'm not. But
it would be interesting to go to Now Hutta and see the leader of the Hutt Syndicate, not being the cousins, because they seem kind of inept.
Yeah, and I think
who out here is going in my slime pit? Mr. Fancy Pants Mandalorian. Who gonna fix my door?
I can't. Not the mom.
My nephew Zero was a bad boy.
Mama. Oh, mama.
I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna break into Zero the Hutt Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mama. Oh. I didn't mean to get shot by Snice Noodles, mama. I love that Hutlet.
No, we done made your baby cousin Rhoda sad. Now get out of here, boy.
Yeah, mama.
Done took my starship and broke down my door, that fancy pants Jedi. Got into my slime pit.
Love to see Mama the Hutt.
Oh, God. Zero the Hutt Bohemian Rhapsody is not something I thought would happen on the show or even be brought up by anyone at all.
My vocal cords are not there for a full Zero the Hutt Bohemian Rhapsody. I would die.
One of these days.
I'm just getting my voice back to not sound like a nasally wreck, so I'm not going to risk it. I was doing voice impersonations last night, though.
That would do it.
I will say, though, I was doing Boss Nass, who we know is dead, which would be sad. It's sad to see. But I was also doing Watto. I was doing Watto on TikTok Live last night.
Oh, boy.
Red the boy, blue his mother. You tricked me. It was not a fair deal. Perhaps we could discuss it with the Hutts. Take him. Mind tricks don't work on me. Only money. Penny. Oh God! Ah! You didn't know you were getting a General Grievous impression, did you?
I didn't. I did not know that I was getting George Lucas's laryngitis impression. Because that's how they got his cough, right?
Just do it faster and more intense. I don't know. I don't know if that was it or not.
I heard that somewhere. I don't know if that was for General Grievous or 2003 Tarkovsky General Grievous.
I'm not sure either. But friendly reminder: I'm rich. You're not. He said that to his kids, and George Lucas actually said that to his kids. He was doing an interview, I think, with like Oprah, and she was like, "So, like, how do you talk to your kids about your like substantial wealth? Because obviously that's something worth bringing up." And he goes, "Well, I was telling my kids like this. I'm rich. You're not. Go out there and make a name for yourself. Obviously, when I die, you'll get some money, but for the meantime, I'm rich. You're not." Base George Lucas, no nepotism babies for him.
Nope. But one thing that I did want to
Also,
bring in.
Comment below about my great impressions. I'm on fire tonight.
I dig it.
Not sponsored, but Dr. Peepee makes the impressions go hard.
All right.
Carbonation helping soothe my throat. What else you got on this? Shizor, Zizor, Zizer, Prince Zazor.
The green Princey man.
The green. That would be really funny though. Having a really like country like looking character. Maybe some like ring, because I think in Star Wars the redneck accent comes from Ringo Vinda, if I'm not mistaken. We got a yacht for a prince. Zizor, Zazer, Caesar. It's Shizor. Shizor, Zizor, ha, her. I don't care. Take your damn yacht and get out of here, boy.
Oh, I'd love to see it. I would love to see that.
Zizor, she, her, he, him. I don't care. Get your pronouns somewhere else.
We sell yachts, not pronouns.
I sell gas, not pronouns here. You can take them fancy Coruscanty pronouns somewhere else. My pronouns are kiss my ass.
Oh God. All right. But as far as like,
hold on, Mom of the Hut talks pronouns.
Oh God.
You and your fancy pronouns coming round to my slime pit. You better get on with your fancy talking self. Mama the Hut don't need a pronoun. Mama the Hut is Mama the Hut. Now my slimy little deadbeat son Zero might have a pronoun. Not me. I'm Mama the Hut.
Anyway,
how different Star Wars characters would react to you asking their pronouns. I know what you're saying, but I feel like I'm standing up the window between Frontierland and Batu. I'm so lost. Not much. You're just hearing Mama the Hut talk about pronouns. It's not that deep.
Mama the Hut is a Clone Wars character. She is a Hut, a very.
She's Mama the Hut.
She's Mama the Hut.
Mama!
No, Dylan, you need to save your voice.
Our deadbeat son took my starship.
We need to do an episode of just Star Wars impressions. Oh wait, we already have that. And the way to find it is by going through our back catalog. Subscribe. It's the Lego Star Wars episode.
It's actually, unironically, one of my favorite episodes that we've done.
It was. I had so much fun doing it.
I feel like I need to take off the "we finally discussed the topic" banner because we have
We were discussing
the topic out here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh God.
Get back on with your seashore.
So as far as
Prince Spear.
So Carson Teva, the Adelphi base gets either X-Wing bombed or fuel bombed, or, there's an attempt on Carson Teva's life. And he's like, holy crap, this is way bigger than I realized. And he goes, of course, to his new best friend, who is okay with violence, that being Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and also his kid.
You know what would be really cool? It's sort of giving a Captain America Winter Soldier vibe. Sort of that like shadowy under government, and like maybe that could be them rooting out different corrupt officials and stuff like that. Like that'd be super interesting. We are definitely being very disorganized. We were on topic for most of the episode. I just want to put that out there. That's why you got to watch the full episode so you can get the full enjoyment of it. Yeah.
So one thing that I would love to see, and I think we'd get to see with this, is when they track down Vane. Because Mando ultimately would be like Teva's contacts within the criminal underworld, just because that's where he lives. Like that's his bread and butter. He's a privateer. All right, he's an independent contractor. And so when he hears that Vane's taken up shop, he's like, well, Vane's on the up and up. Maybe he'll know something about this. And so they get into this dogfight over the cantina that Vane and his guys have, holed up in. And we get to see Carson Teva and Mando fighting side by side in a dogfight. And I think that would be beautiful.
That would be really cool. I'd be down to see that.
Especially, like, it could be pirate snub fighters. They probably got, like, one freighter, which is kind of like our final boss of this dogfight. And Vane, when the freighter gets taken out, it crashes. And we see Vane, like, clawing his way out, only for Mando to like kick aside his gun, and he looks up and it's just Carson Teva, Mando, and then like Grogu pops his little head up. And we see Vane then proceed to get essentially Superman and Batman interrogating him. Like very much those vibes where we have like Mando as our like bad cop, Carson Teva as the good cop, and ultimately, I hate to say it does devolve into a little bit of a buddy cop movie, but in the best way.
I would love that.
Right?
That would be so amazing.
Good, though. Because we have, Carson Teva's trying to do everything very by the book.
Like a 21 jump, not like a 21 Jump Street. That's not a really good comparison. But
it's like Turner and Hooch, but if Hooch was a knight that also was very okay with killing people.
Yeah.
So we have like Carson Teva the entire time, and he's been using like stun blasts when they're infiltrating, and Mando just busts out his blaster and just shoots a guy dead, and he's like, those weren't stun rounds. He's like, I never said they were. And then they just keep going through it.
Mando just goes, I'm supposed to be using stun rounds? And then there's just Grogu in his little thing behind him. Mm-hmm. Except in the time, Mando has installed a button into his little thing, a yes and no button from IG-12. So it's just, Mando, we're using stun rounds. No, you're using stun rounds. I'm not. Grogu, are we using stun rounds? No. Should he use stun rounds? No. Fine. I'm gonna use stun rounds. Yeah. Yes. Grogu, is killable bad? No.
I would love to see like during the interrogation with Vane, because Mando's going full like grabbing him by the collar and like smacking the shit out of him.
Where are they? Where are they? Where are they?
Honestly, I was thinking like Mando, if we want to go like full Batman, Mando puts him up against the afterburner of one of Teva's X-Wing engines. And he's like, Teva, start the X-Wing. And Teva knows that he won't actually do it. And Vane's like, you're not going to let him actually do it. And he's like, oh, no, he's needed to blow off a bit of steam lately. I say we do it. He's like, You're not actually gonna let.
You're not gonna torch my face in front of the baby, are you? Yes, 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 yes.
And then he's like, I'll tell you everything, because you know that Vane's gonna squeal.
No,
Like, it's
no.
gonna take a second, but he is going
Yeah.
to sing like it is Carnegie Hall.
Listen, I love the yes no button, and I just want it to come back.
It was so good. I loved it. I loved
Grogu
especially
was so happy to finally have a voice.
right. Like he could
no,
speak.
no. It's so cute. It's such a funny thing that I didn't know I needed until I saw it, and I said, you know what, we need more of this.
I honestly, just that first scene where he's just like, yes, 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 and he's just walking around and won't stop pushing it because he's so happy.
He's so happy.
Oh, it was so cute.
Imagine having to. The only way being able to communicate is in that nonverbal way, and then you finally have the ability to communicate, verbally in a way that most people around you will understand. I feel like that's huge.
Yeah.
Because the only other person Grogu could communicate with
Was
not
Ahsoka.
verbally, but was Ahsoka and Luke.
Right.
Because they're force sensitive and they could like feel him through the force. But this was an opportunity for, Grogu to actually speak to Mando, his father. So I personally really like that. And I want to see more of it.
I would also love to see, like, they're going into, like, taking out the guys on the ground at Vane's camp, either before or after it gets up to, space battle. And Taba's just like, bring your kid on all your jobs with you? Or, like, make some, like, bring your kid to work day comment. I would love that. And it's very much just, I don't know. I like where this movie's going. Honestly, I have no idea where it ends. What the end goal of this, other than, I mean, obviously we want to stop here, Zizor, Green Prince Man. We want him stopped. That's like the end goal of the movie.
Her.
Yes.
That's honestly the best way to unironically say it. She, her.
Actually, yeah.
So if you want a Prince she, her shirt, leave a comment down below because honestly, that'd be a really great Pride Month thing.
Honestly, yeah.
Just saying, rainbow capitalism, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, do you have anything more you want to say about this, or do you want to move into news and rumors?
Honestly, I feel like this was really good. I loved seeing what we both came up with. Just the, getting those creative muscles working. It was good. It was fun to just brainstorm this again. And I'd love to see us return to this potentially
absolutely.
for, I'd love to see us do this sort of.
I love
from a
how
certain
we had
point of
two
view.
different. I love how we had two different approaches to it, where you came from the idea of writing a D&D campaign,
Mm-hmm.
where I came in at the perspective of what's a book that I read that was kind of cool.
Right,
Let's make that into a Star Wars movie.
But it makes for such cool stories, and I love that you went with the it very much. It was. I don't know, that style I really like, and I really love stories
like a
done
non-linear sort of like very much like jumping from one story to the next. I'm very excited. So
yes. I
Anyways,
love how we talk about these like these are movies we're actually going to see.
I mean, listen, make it happen, Disney.
Make it happen.
Hey,
we are here. We are
blow
on
it.
call.
Blow. I know I say this every episode, but I'm being genuinely serious. Like this, leave a comment, share, put us in the writer's room, Disney. We're not Star Wars Theory. We won't cry about it.
We won't.
And you can put bricks and screws in our movie.
You can. And we won't put the Force's testosterone on a t-shirt.
Ugh.
Yep.
Out of all the things you could put on a shirt, that's just cringe.
Yes, I know.
I like to think that was unironic trans rights. The Force is TRT.
I like it. The
Force is steroids.
Well,
Also, the Forces female came from like a Nike thing, bro. Chill out. It's not even a Kathleen Kennedy thing.
Mhm.
Anyway, news and rumors time.
News and rumors. So
Biggest
I've got
news-
some stuff. Honestly, I've got stuff all across the board this week. Like, it's not really one specific fandom, and I've got some weird outliers. So I have, first off, we're going to start off with, my love, the Ghostbusters franchise. Specifically, the fact that all of the original cast, aside from obviously Harold Ramis, as may he rest, has since passed. But we are talking everyone from Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray, of course, Dan Aykroyd. I mean, Dan Aykroyd actually stayed in a haunted house to prep for the movie. That was more recent news. Annie Potts as Janine, and including, but not limited to, we do have reports that William Atherton, the guy who played Walter Peck, is returning for Firehouse. And let me tell you,
No
it
way.
just makes me so happy. As Dickless is back. Yes, Your Honor. This man has no
Let's
dick.
go. That's gonna be good.
In addition to that, reportedly in the Sony's presentation this year at CinemaCon included the upcoming Ghostbusters sequel, and while no actual footage of the film was shown, a teaser shot on set and hosted by Jason Reitman was played. The most significant bit of news from that video is that in addition to Finn Wolfhard and McKenna Grace, and honestly, all of the kids from the Afterlife cast being seen in uniform, Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon were also suited up, who played Gary Gruberson as well as Callie Spengler, which is something that a lot of fans were really excited about with Afterlife, was getting to see Paul Rudd wearing a proton pack. And we didn't, but I always felt like that was something we were going to see. But in addition to that, hopping over to MCU stuff, I have a couple little tidbits of news. I actually have one news and one rumor. First off, the news. Chris Pratt's Star-Lord has officially dropped the MCU's first F-bomb in a new Guardians of the Galaxy 3 clip.
I saw
The scandal. A single word that we've deemed unacceptable, dropped within a trip. I don't know. I find it funny that it makes such big news, but
I mean, the MCU has been. I mean, it's not the first time that they've had swear words in the MCU, but it's the first time that someone has said "fuck." Which,
yes,
out of all the characters, I will say,
it's very on brand.
It's on brand, but it also doesn't really make sense because, how does Star-Lord know that word?
Well,
unless his mom said "fuck" a lot as a kid,
well, he's been back to Earth.
He got abducted at 8, but who would he have heard say "fuck"?
It's also been shown that surprisingly common throughout the galaxy is the English language.
Damn, you got a point there. All right.
I will say everyone is speaking it.
It's just a universal translator. That's my theory.
Yeah, you got everyone from Xandarians to Kree to Krylorians who are all speaking, for the lack of a better term, because in Star Wars we have Galactic Basic, and D&D we have Common. It's just English. So,
yeah. We just the British Empire colonized the galaxy.
God damn it. We can never truly.
British.
I have some news in regards to, weirdly enough, Vision Quest.
You tell.
Which we, reported the other day to be coming out as of 2026. And it's in regard to a character that we may see in there. Reportedly, it'd been in talks that Sadie Sink was in talks about a Marvel character. There have been talks of, their character that people thought was going to be in the Thunderbolts. Is it Songbird? I think that's his name. I have no idea. I don't know.
Who's the actor?
Sadie Sink, Max from Stranger Things.
No idea who they are.
Okay. Anyway, reportedly, they are in talks to portray Viv Vision, who we know as Vision's robotic daughter.
Interesting.
Right.
That's interesting indeed.
Let's see what I have got here. Reportedly, John Boyega is in discussion to join Daisy Ridley in the new Star Wars New Jedi Order movie.
That's why I had to add that, because I saw that earlier. That's why I added it to my movie. I'm just saying. And to all you, I just wanted Finn to be the Jedi, motherfuckers. Put your money where your mouth is. When Finn becomes a Jedi, shut the fuck up.
Go watch the movie.
Shut the fuck up. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Also, I have, in conjunction with some more Star Wars news, Rebels episodes that Dave Filoni suggests watching before Star Wars Ahsoka. It is everything from Jedi Knight on, which is, the last 5 episodes of the series.
Damn, that's it?
That's it. Apparently, that's all you need to watch in order to prep for Ahsoka. So go relive all of the trauma of Rebels.
Yeah, go relive the trauma of Kanan's death.
Yep.
R.I.P. R.I.P. my boy.
I love that he specifically put Jedi Knight just so that he could make us all suffer.
Once again, I will say I was going to be rewatching those episodes, so that's valid. I was going to be rewatching those the other day. I rewatched Charles the Darksaber in memorandum.
So I also have some interesting news. So if you've been on the internet and YouTube for more than all of 5 minutes, you probably know who Markiplier is.
Uh-huh.
And he's reportedly set to star in and direct a horror film titled Iron Lung, based around the indie horror game of the same name.
Interesting.
If you don't know anything about Iron Lung, you are inside of a submarine on an alien planet. The concept terrifies me as I am horrified of the ocean.
Well, there's a big Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming out soon.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Apparently, did you see the guy Matthew Willard battled Shaggy?
Mm-hmm.
Not like the character Shaggy, but like they just on me on the counter. Wasn't me. That Shaggy. And I must say, Matthew Willard whooped his ass.
I have some unfortunate news from Disney parks. So those of us who, love Disney have likely heard of the Disney show Fantasmic, which is, this show centered around Mickey's imagination and dreams, which, comes together, and these dreams come to life in the form of various characters and villains, ultimately culminating when the witch Maleficent gains control of Mickey's power, and there's this giant 50-foot dragon that sprays fire out of its mouth onto the water and catches the water on fire. It's an amazing show. Long story short, the dragon animatronic that was used in that show, nicknamed Murphy, did catch fire this week. And this does mark the second time that a Maleficent dragon has caught fire. And if I had a nickel for every time a Disney dragon caught fire in the middle of a show, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Just jumping over the last bit of news, and this is some really good news. Superman Legacy has its costume designer now.
Nice.
And now, while you might not know this person by name, you know their work.
Bring back the trunks. Bring back the trunks.
Costume designer is Judiana Makovsky, and you might know their work from The Hunger Games because they designed the fire spinning clothes.
Ooh.
They also designed all of the costumes for James Gunn's Suicide Squad, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy 3 Cap's endgame suit. And McGonagall and Dumbledore from Harry Potter, but
So you know we're about to get some heat.
We're about to get some serious heat with these costumes.
Sweet. I can't wait.
As far as and also the D&D live action series, which is a thing, got the Deadpool producer as its showrunner.
That's awesome.
So D&D fans stay winning. But that's all I got for news and rumors.
I have two. I have two before we end. I have one sad news and one glad news. Okay. So I'll start with the sad news first. For those who have watched any daytime television, Jerry Springer has unfortunately passed away.
Oh shoot!
He passed away today at the age 79. So R.I.P. Jerry. He will be missed.
Long life.
Now for somebody who will not be missed. Carolyn Bryant Donham. For those who do not know, she was a white woman who falsely accused Emmett Till of whistling at her back during the 1950s, which caused his untimely and incredibly violent death where he was brutally, castrated and then lynched. And she also died today. So we're smoking on that racist pack. R.I.P. bitch.
Is this mascara?
Pack watch. Right in hell, bitch.
Let me get my dingle hopper.
But with that being said, have a good night. May the force be with you. And we will see you the next time we go Under the Helmet.
Under the Helmet.
Bye, everybody.